What's up, you wonderful people? TreeMuggs here. So I firmly believe that rigging rings are the single biggest innovation in rigging since the Porter app. So I wanted to share with you my story of my own education in rigging and hardware and how I came to fall in love with rings as much as I have. Let's take a walk. So I did a 3-year apprenticeship at Norm's Tree Service, and the guys that I learned from at Norm's were old school. 99% of all the rigging that we did was natural crotch. Super simple, super quick and easy to set up, and super creative because you have to work with the tree. So after Norm's, I started my own company called Conservatory, and I started experimenting a lot more with blocks, the great big CMI blocks. And then from them, I moved on to micro pulleys, like the Pinto pulleys, and I used those for many years. I love rigging with Pinto pulleys, and then they came out with the Pinto rig pulley, which could fit a 5/8 rope, and that was even better. So at that point, I'd been rigging with Pinto rigs for quite a while, and I just sort of settled into a groove, you know, where I was just sort of, I guess I stopped being progressive in many ways. This is long before James. I just reached a point where I figured, like, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. So, you know, these Pinto pulleys, this is all I need. And I stopped experimenting and looking for new solutions, you know what I mean? Now, I was hearing a lot of chatter online about rings, and I had looked into them. I hadn't tried them. You know, I was already 100% sold on the concept of friction up top, based on my education in natural crotch rigging. I mean, I knew all of the many benefits of using friction up top in your rigging. So I was already sold on the concept. The problem in my mind, and I see it all the time now, is the problem in a lot of people's minds, is this concept of, oh, yeah, I would try rings, but they're not midline attachable, you know? And so that's the main reason that I didn't actually try them for a few years. And then one day, I realized, wait a second, natural crotches are not midline attachable either. And it was like, light bulb, you know? Boom! I was like, wow, okay, so I'm already sold on friction. What's stopping me from trying rings? And the answer was obviously nothing. So I went all in. I converted all my stuff to rings. I bought a whole bunch of rings, and I started playing with them. And I absolutely love rigging with rings. So the power of rings comes in using them in numbers, right? So it's not enough to just go buy 1 or 2 rings. You really need to have a bunch. I have probably 8 or 10 rings now. And having them in numbers allows you to load stems in compression in basically every scenario that you can imagine, as long as you have enough rings and the right types of slings that allow you to be versatile in your setups. And then the ultimate irony of the whole thing is that when you have a bunch of rings, your creativity goes through the roof. Way, way more creative than I could ever be with natural crotch rigging, because I can put a ring wherever I want. And I can use a bunch, and I can combine them all in as many crazy configurations as I want. It just boggles my mind how creative you can get with rings. So it's just, in my mind, it's just so funny. I used to think natural crotch was so much more creative, and I was totally wrong about that. So getting back to the concept of midline attachability, I would say 2 things. If you're hesitant about using rings because of that issue, 2 things. Number 1, if you just take more time and put more thought into the designing of your rigging systems, what you'll find is that you don't very often need to attach something midline, because you've already designed it in your head, and you know, you put your plan into action, you put the end of the rope through the rings, you're off to the races. Second thing I would say is there are going to be scenarios every once in a while where you do want to be able to clip in a redirect, let's say midline, right? But there's lots of options for that. The main option that I would say is a Pinto pulley on a sling, right? That's an awesome little midline attachable redirect, right? So The issue of midline attachability for rings, to me, it's a total non-issue, is what it is, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on rigging rings. I love, love, love rigging rings. I can't get enough of them. They are the ultimate solution in rigging. And I'm going to say it again. Rigging rings are the single biggest innovation in rigging in this trade since the Porter app. If you haven't tried them, do it. So, until next time, climb high, work smart, and read more. TreeMuggs out.